So welcome guys to another episode of Research and Design Build. So here in what's going to be our craft room, or a craft room for my wife, I've got the trim all set, got all that finished up. What I have remaining are the built-ins that we're doing. So do have 9-foot ceilings here in the basement, and usually that space that's sort of above your closet is kind of wasted. That shelf area is pretty hard to get to. So what I chose to do here is lower the sort of ceiling height in the closet, so there won't be as much room for that, on top of that shelf. But instead do cabinets up top. And so the cabinets up top will give us a lot more usable space up there. Yeah, you'll need a sort of stepping stool to get to it, but there's some cool design options that we can do with that. So with the top unit here, doing a bit of an IKEA hack, and so that opening is 60 inches wide and 15 inches tall. And what that's going to allow me to do is to put an IKEA cabinet in there, which would normally be designed, or what they sell for being installed over top of your fridge or freezer. And so you can get those in 30-inch wide or 36-inch wide units. And I'm going to be doing two 30-inch wide units here. In the other bedroom, I don't have quite as much room, and so I'm going to do one 36-inch unit. Now, that gives you a whole, because it's part of their kitchen collection, that gives you a whole wide variety of door options and that sort of thing. And when you do the cabinet configurator, it doesn't necessarily give you all of the options. Because there are some options for a 15 by 30 cabinet with glass doors. So in this bedroom, we're going to be doing 2 glass doors. In the other room, because we're going to be storing different things in it, we're going to be doing a solid door in that. But it does give you a lot of options as far as the style of door that you can pick. Now over on this side, I've got a large tall opening, and we're just going to do open shelves in there. Now if I had thought a little bit more about this, I would have done a 15-inch wide opening there, because IKEA sells a 15-inch wide by 90-inch tall cabinet that would mount kind of beside a fridge unit. And so I could have slid that in there. And would have made things really easy. Unfortunately, this is framed for about 14 inches wide right now. I could probably cut it a little bit wider, but it would be a fair amount of work. So what I'm going to do is just do an MDF box in there and MDF shelves and paint it. So that's what sort of this part of this project is going to be. And we'll jump into that, and I'll walk you through the process of doing that. So here I've got all of the pieces now cut for the built-in unit that I'm going to put in there. So it's going to be just under 14 inches wide total width. So this is going to be the back panel. We got the 2 sides and then 2 top pieces. Now this is one of the reasons that I really, really like track saws. It allows you to work with large pieces, large sheet goods, whether that's MDF in this case or plywood, and you can work on it right on the ground or on sawhorses or anything like that. Trying to cut this size of piece on a table saw by yourself is quite challenging, can be quite dangerous. And it doesn't really necessarily matter what the thickness is that you're cutting. Really thin stuff, although light, becomes very flexible, and so then it's really hard to control, or can be hard to control. And so my preference for the larger sheet goods, unless you have a really large sliding table saw, would be to cut it on the ground or on sawhorses or something like that with a track saw. And with that, you can get very, very accurate results. Everything is nice and square and perfectly cut, and you can get the same or better finish than you can on a table saw. But it's a much safer You know, you're not throwing your back out doing it, and that sort of thing. So definitely my preference, but I've saved you guys the trouble of watching me cut each of these pieces out. But we're left with the two sides, the back, and then the top and bottom. So what I'm going to do now is use my domino and start getting it so that the two sides and the ends can be put together. That will be the first sort of glue up, and then this will go, the back will go on top of that, again with some dominoes. So we'll start doing that. Cut lists are also very helpful when you're doing this kind of a project. I just kind of did it off the top of my head, based off the outside dimensions of the cabinet that I was building, or the box that I was trying to build. And I did screw up, and I did make this one too short, so it won't actually, it's the same length as the two sides, but because of the way I've got the bottom and top coming in, I do need to make this one a little bit longer. So without having the board stretcher, what I'm going to do is add a couple dominoes in, add to this length, and I will have one seam that I'll have to play with, but I'll put that one at the bottom of the box, and it'll be very hard to see unless you're lying on the ground. Alright guys, so we're back in the basement. I got all the pieces cut up and down here, and so now we'll do the assembly. I don't have a ton of dominoes in this, because really I'm just looking for location and assistance in holding it square. But once the glue is set up, and I also have it in place, there's a lot of other ways I'm going to fasten it into the studs and that sort of thing, which is going to secure the box. So I'm not worried about putting 50 dominoes in this to hold it in every dimension. You know, if this box is being, you know, just secured to the wall using one of the boards, and then everything else is kind of hanging off of that and supporting weight, then I definitely add some more dominoes. But in this case, it's mainly going to be supported with a lot of fasteners sort of throughout the body, going into studs and that sort of thing. So mainly it's for location and for squareness that I'm using them. So we'll start a time lapse and we'll see how it goes. So on that first attempt, I did wreck that pretty good, but there will be a pretty big piece of trim here, so I'm not too worried about that. But this is what failed last time. So it kind of fell over, and then as you see, I was having trouble sliding it in there. So hopefully I've got this secured a little bit better, and hopefully it slides in a little bit easier this time, but we'll see.
So here's the finished built-in. So we got it all painted now. I did paint it with a turbine sprayer from Fuji, and it's just water-based paint that was watered down a little bit to make it a little thinner so that it is easier to spray. And I've installed the dominoes now where I'm going to be putting the shelves. So on the bottom of the shelves, what I did was machined these pockets, and again I used the Festool Domino for this. I just went a little bit deeper, and then that allowed me to put this recess in there, so I just offset it, and then that will be a pocket that it will sit on those dominoes. So I've got a screw up here. I thought I had these measured correctly, but they do not fit. So what I'm going to have to do is trim a bit off each side on the table saw and trim them down to fit. So here's the finished built-in. All 5 shelves in. Just need a little bit of a trim. Can't really tell which side I trimmed on. And I did leave a little extra space for the dominoes, so that didn't make a difference. But this is kind of how the dominoes sit in there, so they're basically flush with the surface, and then that way nothing will get caught on them if you're pulling boxes in and out, or other storage containers. And yeah, and then you've got the adjustability. You can pull these out and put them in other places if you want, just like you would on the metal pins. Yeah, they do push quite firmly in, so I probably need a pair of pliers or something like that to pull them out, but nothing different than some of the tight fits on the metal pins. And yeah.
So guys, if you enjoyed this video and found it educational, useful, or enjoyable, please give it a like. That'll help me out immensely and help this video go out to more people on YouTube and give it a little bit more exposure. So small effort on your part would mean a lot to myself and the success of the channel. So hopefully this is a unique use of the Festool Domino. It's working out great for me, and hopefully it'll work well for you, and just show you that there's probably some other uses for some of the tools that you have in your shop, and other ways that you can use them that are maybe not the standard, but will give you some great results. So please consider subscribing as well. If you did see in the video, I did install the trim here kind of in one piece, all pre-assembled, so I'll go through some tips and tricks on kind of how to do that successfully, as well as painting this MDF box. So priming it and doing the finish coat. I will be doing a review tutorial type thing on the spray system that I have been using for this project. I've had great success with it, and I'll pass along some of my tips and that sort of thing for that. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.